Thank you. Thank you, Harold, for those very kind words. And I will start off by saying, if I wasn't a proud member of the Laborers International Union, I'd love to be a proud member of the IAFF. So thank you, Harold. And if I did have any sense, which you're going to find out here in a few minutes that I don't, after that incredible introduction, I'd say thanks for the invitation, and I'd sit my Irish ass down. It's an honor and a privilege for me to be here today at this historic convention in this great Union City with all of my strong, proud, and united brothers and sisters of the IAFF. It's also a personal privilege to speak here today because I come from a family not only of laborers, but of firefighters. My Uncle Jack was a lieutenant in the San Francisco Fire Department, and my cousin John is a firefighter as well. So today, I feel like I'm among not just my trade union brothers and sisters, but with family. Before I begin, I want to recognize your General President and my dear friend, Harold Schaitberger. Harold is a real deal, somebody that I have the utmost respect and admiration for. I'm inspired by his tireless dedication and commitment to the members of the firefighters. He is one of the most stand-up and progressive union presidents that I have ever worked with in the entire trade union movement. Harold is smart, aggressive, strategic, and tenacious. He's loyal to our cause, to our purpose, to our mission, to your union, and our movement. Harold Schaitberger never forgets where he came from. He never forgets the value of hard work and those that do it. And he never, ever, ever forgets that the most valuable asset we have in your union and in the entire labor movement is our members and their families. Harold, it is a privilege to call you my friend and an honor to call you my brother. Please give it up for your great General President, my friend, Harold Schaitberger. I also want to recognize your General Secretary Treasurer, Tom Miller, as well as the rest of your executive board for their visionary leadership of your great international union. And believe you me, Harold and I get the opportunity, Tom, to travel all around the country and attend a lot of union meetings, international meetings, and I got to tell you, I'd put your executive board up against any there are in labor. I know you're as proud as I am to have them as the leadership of your great union. So thank you, Tom, and thank you for the rest of your executive board for all that you do. If I take 1 second of personal privilege, I have an international vice president and our Ohio Valley Southern States regional manager with me, Robert Richardson, who has accompanied me here today. Thank you, Robert, for being here. Brothers and sisters, I humbly stand before you today on behalf of the 500,000 members of LIUNA to express our respect and our support to this room full of heroes, men and women who run towards danger while the rest of us run to safety. Individuals who have saved thousands of lives through their courage, their skills, and their sacrifice. I know there are some who pay the ultimate price for that bravery, and that over the past 2 years since you last met at your convention, 325 of your members have laid down their lives while trying to save others, including 19 Prescott firefighters who fell battling the Yarnell wildfire a little over a year ago, and New York firefighter Matthew Abellis, who died a little over a week ago trying to locate a trapped victim of a fire on the 19th floor of a Brooklyn high-rise. The members of my union, LIUNA, admire your ongoing dedication, vigilance, and bravery, protecting the men, women, and children of both of our nations. And Harold, on behalf of our General Executive Board, we're honored to be here, but I want you to know that we're going to make a $25,000 donation to the Fallen Fighters Memorial on behalf of our fallen heroes of the International Association of Firefighters. My friends, once again, the trade union movement, particularly in the United States, is under siege and attack. Firefighters see this every day as anti-union politicians, ideological extremists, and Tea Party maggots try to take away your collective bargaining rights, slash budgets, and malign public servants. But time and time again, brothers and sisters, you have told these hypocrites that they cannot call you heroes while treating you like second-class citizens. And even when you have been exempted from anti-union laws and regulations, you have chosen to stand with other unions that were under assault. You have truly lived by the age-old labor movement adage that an attack on one is an attack on all of us. At a time when fewer than 12% of American workers belong to a union, and less than 6% of private sector workers do, you are in the inevitable position of representing 85% of all professional firefighters in the United States. That level of representation and market share are awe-inspiring. But we don't bullshit ourselves into firefighters in LIUNA. We know no matter what our market share and membership is, we know that our backs are up against the wall, and that our solidarity will be critical this November as we are faced with state and federal elections in which all that we stand for and all that we fight for is at stake. We have a partisan Congress that is politically paralyzed, filled with too many politicians who are too far removed from the daily struggles of working men and women. We have a president in whom we place great hope and trust, and I might add, helped elect twice, who at times treats organized labor as more of a nuisance than a real partner. Last month, the president held the Working Family Summit and talked about child care, paid family leave, and equality for men and women, all of which we applaud and strongly support. But it's troubling that not once in that speech, not once, brothers and sisters, did he mention unions or the labor movement. Now, I know I'm cut from the same cloth that you are. As far as I'm concerned, all that needed to be said is if you want working class benefits and a middle class life, then join a damn union. Look, at both of our organizations support many Democrats in Congress, but it would be fair to say that in many instances and on many pieces of legislation, we're disappointed, disillusioned, and disgusted by some of our so-called friends who don't seem to have the courage or the guts to fight for unions. Clearly, some in the Democratic Party have lost their way. This is not the same party of Ted Kennedy, Harry Truman, or Franklin Roosevelt. Today, some seem to have forgotten that the labor movement was and remains the single most effective anti-poverty program ever devised in the history of our country, brothers and sisters. On the other side of the aisle, we have some in the Republican Party who are out not just to hurt us, but to kill us, and to make way for a vision of an America without unions. Today's Republican Party has been hijacked, poisoned, and taken over by a bunch of Tea Party maggots. These anti-union, anti-worker bastards are not only crazy, they're mean. They're mean-spirited, and they are out to destroy us and all that we stand for. They are the disciples of Karl Rove, the Koch brothers, Ted Cruz, Rand Paul, and Grover Norquist. A man who has stated that he would like to shrink the government down to a size that he could drown in a bathtub. That's how they view proud, brave public servants like you, as someone unwanted to be drowned and destroyed. My friends, I'm angry, but it's not enough to be angry. We also have to act. And that's why, in order to counter the Tea Party, the firefighters in LaUna have been working with and have given a substantial amount of money to former Congressman Steve LaTourette and the Main Street Partnership PAC. As many of you know, Steve served for almost 2 decades in Congress as a moderate Republican from Ohio who stood with us on many of our legislative priorities. But he became so disgusted by the Tea Party's takeover of his own party that he left to head up the centrist Republican PAC. Through this PAC, both of our unions got involved in primaries to protect moderate Republicans who have supported legislation of importance to trade unions and who are facing challenges from extreme Tea Party zealots because of it. Our collective goal is to rid the Republicans of these Tea Party scumbags before they can ever get to a general election. We can be proud, and we should be proud, that in every primary race in which we have been involved, we have won. We beat back the enemy, and just as importantly, the Republican establishment and the Democratic Party are taking notice. Now, I know, and Harold knows, that this is only the beginning and a small example of the things we need to do as a movement to stay relevant for all those that we proudly represent. So where the hell do we go from here? We need to work together, lobby together, fight together to change the status quo. I mean, we need to go back to the old days of lobbying. Harold knows this. My idea of lobbying is get me close enough to a politician so I can grab him around the ankles and work both my hands all the way up till I get it around his throat and choke him until we get what the hell we're looking for. That's the way we ought to be lobbying. We need to hold Democrats accountable once and for all and stop talking about it. We're tired of being taken for granted, taken for a ride, taken down the path of false promises because they don't think we have anywhere else to go. Enough is enough. This BS has got to stop. Your model of political action, driven by issues, not ideology, and supportive of candidates based on their positions, not their party, is one that LaUna shares, but is one that the entire labor movement, in my opinion, needs to follow. We understand that politics is about addition, not subtraction, that we can't pass family-supporting, working-class legislation without some bipartisan support, whether we like it or not. Our message to all politicians, Democrats, Republicans, independents, and everyone else needs to be simply this. If you expect us to be there for you, you sure as hell better be there for us. And at a time when so much is at stake in the trade union movement, we can't afford to get distracted or sidetracked by social and legislative issues that have nothing to do with putting our members to work. Whatever we may think as individuals, and we're not here as individuals, whether we are liberal or conservative, Democrat or Republican, pro this or anti that, in our roles as union leaders, we must be concerned, laser focused with one thing, and one thing only. Is something good or bad for our members? Here's our motto. I can tell it's yours. We'll work with every party. We'll work with every organization. We'll work with anybody and everybody we can, and we'll fight every SOB that we have to. It's a pretty simple model, pretty simple way of doing business. If you show respect to our organizations and the proud men and women we represent, we'll reciprocate. But if you don't, you're not going to be our friend, you're going to be our enemy. And to me, that old adage, we're all in it together, and the adage of that, all for one and one for all, there's no greater example, and Harold mentioned it, of that than the last AFL-CIO convention in LA. And I know some of you were there. And the weak-kneed reaction of the national AFL-CIO when it came to taking on President Obama on some of the destructive components of Obamacare. And I'm only being critical because if it wasn't for your president, if it wasn't for the power of the IAFF, that debate never would have happened. My union and all the other unions that have problems and concerns about the implementation of Obamacare Harold Schaperger a debt of gratitude in your union, because what happened in LA never would have happened if it wasn't for this man and your organization's leadership. So please give it up for your president and your organization for standing tall. We applauded the president, kind of, when he came forth to reform health care in our country. Our health care system in my union, it isn't working, right? But the problem is that it took no input. So we applauded on the fact that there's more Americans that have health insurance today than before. That's a good thing, not a bad thing. But in the implementation of Obamacare, they're destroying many of our health and welfare funds, the things that we went on strike for, the things that we fought for. And that debate in LA was simply for that, is to voice our displeasure and our opinion, as you are doing here, brothers and sisters. I mean, what are we afraid of? I'm afraid of not doing my job. That's when I'm more afraid than losing my job. And what is the purpose of having a convention if everybody, elected duly delegates, don't have the opportunity to get up and say what's on their mind? And Harold made sure that that happened, so that we could talk about the egregiousness of Obamacare from this perspective. There isn't anybody in your union or mine or in the trade union movement has ever been irresponsible. Who's been responsible? Never a drag on the health care system in our country. It's been your members, my members, and union members across the United States. In fact, beyond being responsible and never being a drag, we paid through cost shifting 25 or 30% of our contributions go toward paying for those that don't have insurance. And so it was pretty egregious when we had no input at the table to talk about the devastating impact. How about belly button tax? It's going to cost just Labor's International Union belly button tax, which goes towards everybody covered by a labor's plan. Every plan in the country has got to pay to insurance pool for insurance companies because they got rid of pre-existing condition, which is a good thing. But why are our union brothers and sisters and family members paying for it? We're taking $45 million out of our health and welfare funds alone in the laborers just this year. We're self-insured. That's $45 million less for me to provide benefits, and I'm handing it over on our members' behalf because it's their money to insurance companies. And that's fair, right? I know you battle on the Cadillac tax, which most of my funds are already buttoned up against right now. And they're going to further dismantle all that we have stood for and fought for. So I don't ask anybody, excuse me, if I have a difference of opinion with the president, who said if you like your insurance, you can keep it, when he doesn't live up to his word and what he's doing is dismantling everything that we stand for, then I'm going to take issue with it. Unfortunately, not everybody thinks like that, but this guy does, and you do. And again, I thank you for the opportunity to be there, to be able to voice our opinion. And Harold's right. It went from not even hitting the floor to passing unanimously. And it wasn't really that painful. It gave delegates the sense of being able to, the entitlement to come and represent their constituency. So, now we keep fighting in D.C. These arrogant know-it-alls in this administration. I didn't say the president. He has a lot of arrogant people around him that think that they know a lot more about the labor movement and our members than we do. Have already answered our pleas by patting us on the head and telling us it's all going to work out. only to ignore our concerns, screw us over, and threaten the very health and welfare funds we fought to establish. So now, this Congress, next Congress, every Congress until we get it fixed, we need sensible changes from a Congress that, as I said before, is politically paralyzed, afraid of its own shadow. Now, I know, hell, I'm talking to the choir here. You know, if we wanted easy battles and sure victories, we would have chosen another line of work. But firefighters, laborers, and all those who are with us aren't afraid to fight for what we believe is right and defend all that we have built and stand for. Now, it's time for me to end. I've taken enough of your time up. But I want to end with this, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. Harold talked about that friendship. That friendship and respect goes back a long way from the first day that I came back to Washington, D.C. And I've spoken at a number of conventions and spoken this one time before. This is a great personal honor as well as a professional honor to have the opportunity to stand before heroes. And I mean that in every sense of the word. As I look around this hall, I see more than brave men and women who fight fires and save lives. I see working class warriors who know that we can never back up, that we can never back down, that there is no retreat and there sure as hell is no surrender in the never-ending battle for human rights, civil rights, for worker rights, and for union rights. And I know as I leave here that it will be your energy, your leadership, that will serve as the catalyst to get organized labor back to its activist roots, to once again to be radical, bold, and progressive, a movement that remains true to the cause and plight of working men and women. So, my friends, let us raise our voices in solidarity so that every worker, every corporation, every politician, and every Tea Party extremist hears and sees the determination, the tenacity, the power and the fury of LIUNA in the International Association of Firefighters. It's time to fight. It's time to make the ground shake. It's time to make the walls tremble. It's time to kick ass. It's time to take names. And damn it, it's time to win. We will not be denied. We will not be deterred. And we will not be defeated. So let us stand together. Let us stay together. Let us fight together, and let us win together, brothers and sisters. And in so doing, we will change the course, the direction, and the destiny of our unions, of our movement, and of our countries. God bless the IAFF.